Azargoshasb Fortress, attentional bias effect.
In the impregnable fortress of Azargoshasb, where colossal rocks reached for the sky, stood a commander named Sapanta. He was a man with broad shoulders and sharp eyes who had spent years guarding the borders of Iran against the onslaught of the Turanians. His loyalty to the king and country was renowned far and wide, but deep within his mind, the seed of an ancient and persistent fear had taken root, the fear of Turanian spies infiltrating the ranks. This fear, like a shadow, was always by his side. Every night, as he stood atop the watchtower, his eyes were fixed on the horizon, not to admire the beauty of the stars, but to seek the flicker of a suspicious fire in the plains. Every day, walking among his soldiers, his ears pricked up, not to hear their grievances, but to catch a foreign accent or a double-meaning word. Sapanta's mind, unconsciously, sought only the signs that would confirm this great fear. One day, a caravan of silk merchants arrived at the fortress gates. Sapanta went personally to inspect them. Among the travelers was a man with almond eyes and skin darker than the rest. The soldiers saw simply a merchant from distant lands, but Sapanta's eyes saw something else. His attention was immediately drawn to the man's differences. In the man's silence, he saw a hidden plot. In his gaze, a dormant treachery. Sapanta ordered the merchant to be separated and interrogated thoroughly. Hours of questioning yielded nothing, yet Sapanta was not satisfied. He told his soldiers, "This man is an old fox. Watch him closely. Keep an eye on his every move." The attention of a significant portion of the fortress guards became fixed on a nameless merchant. A few days later, news spread through the fortress that several soldiers in the barracks had fallen ill with an unknown sickness. The fortress healer, an old man named Behrad, announced that the symptoms resembled seasonal fevers, but were far more severe. He requested that the barracks be quarantined and the drinking water carefully checked to prevent an outbreak.
But Sapanta's mind, drowned in the hunt for spies, did not hear this warning as he should have. He thought to himself, "Sickness? At the exact same time as this caravan's arrival? This cannot be a coincidence." His attention, focused solely on the external threat, tied these two unrelated events together. He saw the illness not as an internal threat, but as an attack from the enemy outside. He told Behrad, "This is no fever, it is poison, the poison of the Turanians that the merchant brought into the fortress to cripple our soldiers." Sapanta poured all his energy into proving this hypothesis. He ordered the merchant's cargo to be searched again and again, and instead of tending to the sick and sanitizing the quarters, he tasked his soldiers with finding clues of treason. His focus was so narrowed on this issue that he ignored other signs. He did not see that the sickness was spreading to the cooks and the families living within the fortress, people who had no contact with the mysterious merchant. He heard the dry coughs of his soldiers, but his mind translated them into poison, not disease. In the midst of this, a young man named Azargoshasb, the lookout on the main tower, realized a horrifying truth. He saw that the number of sick people was increasing daily. He saw that the source of the illness was not from the outside, but from the fortress's central well, a well that had been contaminated by recent heavy rains and the seepage of polluted water. He tried multiple times to tell Sapanta, but the commander had only one answer: focus on the enemy, not on the tales of healers. The trap of the eyes, or attentional bias, had blinded Sapanta. He had searched so hard for a ghost in the darkness that he failed to see the real monster walking beside him in the light of day. Finally, disaster struck. The sickness incapacitated half the garrison, and the fortress of Azargoshasb, which no enemy dared approach, was collapsing from within. It was only when Sapanta himself fell onto his bed with a burning fever, and the old healer Behrad brought a cup of herbal medicine to his lips with trembling hands, that the truth was revealed to him. Behrad said with a weak voice, "Commander Sapanta, our enemy was not across the borders, but in our drinking water. You stared so hard at the horizon that you forgot to look beneath your feet."
Sapanta opened his eyes with difficulty. In the weary face of the healer and his sick soldiers, he saw his defeat, a defeat not wrought by the enemy's sword, but by the error of his own mind. He realized that the greatest trap for a guardian is to stare only at one point of danger. His mind, by focusing excessively on one threat, had left him blind to a far greater one. The sickness brought the fortress to its knees, and Sapanta learned a bitter lesson. Sometimes the very thing we search for with all our might prevents us from seeing what we truly need to see.
The human mind is like a watchman. If it looks only in one direction, it leaves all other directions unguarded against the enemy's assault. Now it is your turn. In your business, in your exams, in your art, and in the other dimensions of your life, where have you fallen into this mental trap? Giving excessive attention to one aspect of an event while neglecting to see the rest. By assigning proper weight to different aspects, you can ensure that none of them fall from your sight. What do you think should be done?